I'm changing into the pink podcast pants.
Whoa, right in front of me.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's not like I'm freeballing it.
Nice dick.
Isn't it gray?
Oh, gross. So instead, what we're gonna do is welcome to the show. Fuck, just freak you out. Just
you
like,
bastard.
Just don't worry.
You just wanted to start it off.
That'd be really great. Just don't worry, man. We'll ease you into it. Welcome to the show. Holy shit, man! You can't start right now. Actually, I like this. Let's just keep going from here. This is great. Anyway, welcome to the good, the bad, and the bloody. I'm Cody Bowden.
And I'm Derek Brown.
And today we're going to talk about
Dead Silence, a film made back in 2006 by director James Wan, who started the Saw franchise.
Yes.
Believe it or not, Cody.
Yes, I believe it because I knew that before. And I just watched this movie and you already told me.
Oh, well.
The sequel nobody asked for. That should be our tagline, no matter what movie it is.
Yeah.
Like a new movie coming out, the sequel nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Well, I'd watch it. Anyway, we're going to start off unrelated. Derek and I were talking about guitarists for no reason.
Oh,
and
geez.
he says that he knows 3 guitarists that are better than Joe Satriani. In fact, these are his top 3 favorite guitarists. So
They're not my top 3. They're just the 3 that first came into mind.
okay, so but they're better than Joe Satriani.
I just like them better.
Okay, well, that's fine. It's your opinion. Even though it's wrong. Let's read it off. So bring out your list that you have there. Where is it? Do you have it?
I just have it in my head right here.
No, I want to see it.
Number 1.
Well, you might change it on me. You might be like, not Kurt Cobain. Oh, no.
Kurt Cobain, all 3 of them.
It's just Kurt Cobain 3 times.
Buckshot to the membrane.
Okay, read them
No,
off.
Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin. David Gilmour of Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Jack White of the White Stripes.
Jack White, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say he's creative,
Yeah.
but is he like?
That's the questionable one.
Yeah, you couldn't have thought of like one, even just a guy that shreds better. Maybe like I would have taken
Danny Rhodes, who played with Ozzy.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I would have said like Slash. No joke, over Jack White. What about he also played with Ozzy Osbourne in Black Sabbath. Zach Wild. What about that guy?
And Tony Iommi.
Yeah, dude, that guy plays with
Basically everybody who plays with Ozzy is
good. Is pretty damn good. I mean, that guy played the national anthem with his teeth. Can you do that? I can't even do that with my fingers.
Hendrix did. Oh, Hendrix.
Oh, you idiot. You have Jack White before Jimi Hendrix. Okay, so
don't hate me because I'm
brown. You are brown. Your last
brown.
name is Brown.
Damn it. You got me on a technicality.
You need to say that when police pull you over. Is it because I'm brown? And they go, excuse me? You're like, Derek Brown. I would buy it.
Brown.
Can you believe that there are some people that are listening to a second one of these?
Yes.
I mean,
The first one, as of last time I checked, only had 31 views.
And
I have more people in my family than 31, so that means not every single one of them listen to it.
That's
my mother lied to me.
Are you saying your mother doesn't listen to it?
No, I'm saying she probably made all my family listen to it.
Well, yeah.
Lies.
If anything,
my cousin and my uncle and my mom did.
But that's still 3 people that have clicked on the link on YouTube.
Yes.
Or whatever other website you uploaded it to. Pornhub.
Maybe.
Because their voices are that smooth. Like Milky Way.
Ooh, that's my favorite candy bar.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
No way. Are you fucking with me?
Nope.
It's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Wait. Quiet high five. Because it was right above the microphone. We just clip the mic and break everyone's eardrums.
They're just.
And then we have in the description we say, "Rest in peace, headphone users." The joke is so original. You know what I mean?
And they just lie in a Dead silence.
What if it actually fucking killed? Like, loud videos actually just kill people with headphones. And, like, every time you see that comment, there's, like, a moment of silence.
It's
like, you take your hat off and put it over your heart.
It's like the Scott Pilgrim comic where they're like, Crashing the Boys, they play that song, last song kills the audience. And one guy in the crowd goes, "Nah, it's not for real. Last time they just put everybody in a coma." That's still fucking terrible.
Yeah. It's pretty scary. Oh,
Speaking of scary.
Oh, spooky movie. So this movie was real spoops, but not in the way that I thought it was going to be. So, obviously, Derek has seen this movie before.
I own it.
Iomi is a good name. I have not seen it, which is a bad name. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen this, or even heard of it, actually. Because I know who James Wan is. Because I get him confused with John Woo. So,
that makes perfect sense. Action director, who's probably Chinese or Japanese. James Wan, horror director, Chinese or Japanese.
Wan is definitely a Chinese name.
Probably. I looked it up once. Like, on his Wikipedia page, it said he was Australian. I said, excuse me?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's your country of origin, but, like, you know, what's your descent, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm American. I'll tell people I'm American, but if you ask me where my, like, heritage comes from, I gotta say, like, Peru. The way I said that made it sound like I gotta say, like, you know, Africa. No, it is Peru. I don't know why I said it like that. I gotta say, like, Peru.
And Peru.
And, you know, places like Peru. Where there's llamas. What the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, we need to talk about this movie.
Yeah.
So, yes. Oh, let's talk about how we saw this. Because this isn't a new movie. Well, a new movie's not coming. A new movie didn't come out. So we watched an older movie, just a different one, just a horror movie, whatever. But it's tying into this month's theme, which is Ghost Month.
Yes. Because of The Woman in Black 2.
Yes, we've decided to make this Ghost Month. If you weren't aware of that, fuck you. And no, we're not going to do Ghostbusters.
Damn it.
Okay, wait, maybe we can. We have to find out if it's classified as horror, though.
I think it's comedy horror.
Is there really such a thing?
Comedy comes first.
I think they only made one movie that was horror comedy.
Evil Dead?
No, Dr. Dolittle. But that's a close second. Just like Jimmy Page.
Ooh.
See, I'm bringing it back. This is a recursive podcast. When the end of it just starts it over again. You can put this on repeat on your iPod. If kids still have those. Because as far as I know, they just put music on their phone now.
Yep.
Because the memory is so big.
When you're little and your memory is so big, that means you have a wonderful by every
you need to stop singing songs on the show. Do you know how many times we had a song? We were singing like every 5 minutes. And it was an hour and 30 goddamn minutes long. We can't do that to our audience.
I'm sorry, audience.
What you better apologize. What little ones we have. But yeah.
All 31 of them.
Is it really 31?
Yes.
Because
yesterday.
I listened to that podcast 20 times.
That means you and 11 other people.
But you know what? I appreciate those 11 people for giving us a shot.
Fuck yeah.
Even though they're our friends. I mean, that's what's weird. They're our friends. You'd think that they would be like, oh, I'll listen to just a little bit, you know?
But they listen to the whole goddamn thing.
The ones that did listen to it, did listen to the entire thing, which is great. But the ones that didn't even click on it, come on.
At least you're listening to this one if you're one of those people.
All I gotta say is, come on.
Come on.
Come on. No, have you heard that commercial?
Yes.
I love that commercial.
It makes me mad every time I hear it.
I laugh every time.
By the time the second come on comes on.
Yeah, it was going off on the radio in the back room at my work. And I just was like walking through and I just started laughing. And everyone's like, what's wrong with you, man? Because everyone back there was Mexican, right? They're just like, what's wrong with you, fool? I'm like, come on. And they're like, wow, you're really fucked up. So how we watched this movie is we went into my room and I have a pretty large TV in there and a couch. So
it's fucking huge.
It's a huge TV. But you know what we should do? We should watch them in at Trevor's house because he's got that little movie theater and he's wanted to be a guest on our show. Trevor. So maybe we can arrange that. That'd be interesting. Yeah, we could say, hey, we watched the movie.
We'll watch next week's one on that TV.
Oh, yeah?
Mama.
Do you want to watch that one next?
Hell yeah. It's already on the calendar.
It's true. Yeah, we actually have a list of what we're going to review next. We'll talk about that at the end of the one,
yes.
which ones we're going to do next. But, yeah, we could do that. We could say, hey, can we borrow your in-home theater? And in exchange...
We'll put you as our third man.
Yeah, you could be on the show for a little bit.
For an hour and a half a week.
I don't understand that, though. Because, like, literally what that is, like, him approaching us and going, you know, like, I don't want to be listened to. Just like, hey, is there a way I can talk for an hour and no one listens to it? Well, we're the right show. You've come to the right show. We're like PBS. Oh, Derek. Hey, we had Mr. Rogers, though.
Yes,
we're the
did.
Mr. Rogers of PBS.
Never forget.
Never forgetty.
Never forgetting.
9/11.
So
yeah, we watched this at my house, and I invited Cassidy over. And, well, she invited herself. I told her that what Derek and I were going to do, we were going to watch a movie and then talk about it and stuff. But she said, oh, I want to come over and hang out.
I love that movie.
Yeah, she loves this. It's one of her favorite movies. She's into horror movies, just like Derek is. You know,
Sweet.
I'm kind of in the middle, but I'm watching them anyway. Because this sick man is making me... I can't wait to see what...
Whether you like it or not.
You're going to make me watch some weird stuff. I just know it.
Fuck yeah, yeah.
Is Eraserhead anywhere on your list?
No, not yet.
It's a horror.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen that?
No.
That's one fucked up movie I'm going to make you watch.
Yay.
You're going to watch Eraserhead. That's going to be... That'll be next month. We'll do that.
Yay.
That's the first one. Yay. Dude, it's messed up. It's really messed up. But anyway, so she invites herself over, so... I shouldn't say that, you know, because it makes it sound like she's like, let me over now, you know? But it's Derek and I and Cassie sitting on the couch. And let's face it, I have a girl next to me and Derek next to me. I'm not really going to pay attention much to Derek or the movie. So most of the movie I was kind of slipping in and out, but I got the gist of it, which is kind of why Derek...
I'm going to lead this.
Yeah, you're going to...
Since I own the film.
Yes, you've seen it before.
I like it enough to have owned it,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't know. So,
but yeah, I mean, you know, I think you should kind of walk us through the movie. Just give us a summary of it, and I'll throw in my 2 cents here and there. But unlike the Woman in Black, I wasn't too into this one. Maybe that was just me. I still kind of liked it, but we'll talk about that.
And also, you had the distraction of a woman next to you, and it was at your house, not in a theater.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a difference.
There is. Like, I pay attention to movies way more when it's in a movie theater setting, because I paid for it, and it's, like, built for it, you know. No one's going to, like, turn to you and go, check that shit out, because then you smack them in the face, you know.
Fuck yeah.
You gotta stop talking. But,
that's what you almost did to me in The Hobbit.
Yeah, no, you were fine. I was talking to you, too. At least the things you said to me in the middle of the movie were, like, really funny.
It was worth it.
But we're not reviewing The Hobbit, are we?
No, we're talking about Dead Silence.
So let's start from the beginning.
It was a clear black night. It was a clear white moon.
No, Warren G was not on the streets. All right. So the very beginning of this movie is the longest credit sequence I've ever seen. This is worse than The Shining.
Oh,
well,
jeez.
not as bad, but it was just name after name and just...
And the only one that stuck out to you was Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Donnie Wahlberg. And everything else just went right past me.
Everything was white noise.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was a nice setup to the movie, because it shows in the background of the credits...
schematics on how to build a doll. A ventriloquist doll.
The perfect doll. But yeah. That was weird. Did you want to give a background on this movie at all, or?
Yes. Dead Silence was, I think, the third film that came from James Wan. He had done Saw and Saw 2, naturally. And those two were based on a short film that James Wan and Lee Wannell, the guy who's the writer on this film as well, did together. They did a short film that was what turned into Saw.
I didn't know that.
And then they got approached and were told, hey, this looks good. Why don't you turn this into a feature-length film? So they got the money to do so. Turned into this great, big franchise, which I did not follow after the second one, really.
No, I think that everyone says the third one was the last good one.
I would say so.
I don't know. It's just,
that's the last passable one.
It's just gore. Like, but I can't remember what... Like, I don't know. Like, the last one I saw, like, the last thing I remember from it was like some guy reaching through some frozen bars to grab a key, and like it was so cold that when he like pulled back, it ripped his nipple off or whatever. I don't know.
They all blur together, man.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway,
James Wan and him and Wannell ended up making a second one the very next year. So 2004 Saw came out, 2005 Saw 2 came out, and then 2006 came along, and James Wan didn't want to do Saw anymore. Well, he was just kind of like, I'm done with it. I think he had a producer role on the third one still, though.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm thinking number 3 was some kind of either last for him or like last good one.
Yeah.
It was something.
And so they decided to, he was told he had this kind of new idea, but the studios said, well, you got to make it like right now. You're like the hottest thing right now. You need to make whatever film you have in your head, make it right fucking now.
Wow.
and do it quick. So he and Lee like locked themselves up in their house, motel room, whatever, and they just threw this thing together.
This one?
Yeah.
Wow. Does he have an obsession with ventriloquist dummies?
He has an obsession with dolls.
Yeah, because in Saw, there was the little jigsaw doll.
Which is named Billy as well.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh my god, what the hell?
So there's a puppet in this movie named Billy.
Yes.
So that's a thing that carries over.
Okay, so puppets is
and then
his thing, apparently.
Over in Insidious, which was his next film, there are a bunch of marionette dolls in the other world.
There you go.
And then after that came The Conjuring, which had the Annabelle doll. So that's like his big thing.
Weird.
At least there's that thing that ties all of his films together.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if any other big person like Craven or Carpenter has their thing, but he has his thing, and it's dolls. And they fucking work, because sometimes they can be creepy as fuck.
But sometimes they can be really silly and
Yes.
not really believable. I don't know. That's the problem with the trouble with dolls. But yes.
The trouble with dolls and the trouble with Dane.
So let's go right to the opening scene, which introduces our main characters.
Jamie Asher was his name.
It was Ashen.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it was Ashton only because it reminded me of that YouTuber, Ashens. And I was like, hey, he's got like the same last name almost, kind of.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it shows Jamie and his wife, I forget her name.
I don't think she's important really because she gets right away.
Oh, yeah. So it shows them being a happy married couple in this piece of shit apartment. Mm-hmm. You know, what you always imagine when you're in your 20s and 30s, being a married couple. And this doll shows up on their front porch, on their front step.
Like they're just talking about whatever in their kitchen, and all of a sudden they get this humongous. It's a big package. It's huge. It's like a mini fridge, right?
And the first thing Cody imagines as soon as they look at this thing, he's just like, there's probably a fucking body in there.
Yeah, like here comes the body bags. I don't know, like if I got a package that big and it was totally unmarked and I was not expecting a package, I would not open it because that's some Unabomber shit right there. Yeah. Seriously. But instead she's like, oh, who's it from? I don't know, it doesn't say. It doesn't have our address either. And she's like, let's open it up. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
He's just like, no.
Yeah, he's seriously like, that's not a good idea. And she's like, nonsense. Like, cracks it open.
So they open it up, and there's a ventriloquist dummy, who we later find out is named Billy. Mm. Which, when I first saw it, I went, why is that familiar? Saw.
Is that, yeah. Yeah.
But thank God they don't look at all the same, except for their tux that they wear, which is quite snappy.
Well, that's a common trope against on ventriloquist dummies for them to have a little bow tie.
They dress better than me.
I can think of a few ventriloquists now that have dummies with bow ties.
Walter.
Yeah, from Jeff Dunham's Walter. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, yeah, he's got a fucking bow tie. So that's not weird. That's not too weird. But honestly, this doll is uglier than Jigsaw's doll in the Saw movies.
Yeah, it's got these big, wide green eyes.
It's just so ugly.
He looks like a mix between Saw's puppet and Slappy the dummy from Goosebumps.
You know what? I got a weird vibe of that like Jimmy Neutron episode where like his dad gets obsessed with that one doll like Chippy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what it reminded me of. But it's in the Uncanny Valley area, which is why I think it looks so creepy, is because it's trying really hard to look real, but with a playful twist on it, and it just doesn't look right. It's an unsettling doll. Like, if you got it in the mail, you would just throw it away. Or you'd be like, time to move.
I would have been like, I wonder if the neighbor would like this kind of doll.
Yeah.
And so, shortly afterwards, Jamie goes out to go get food, and his wife's just being all whatever at home.
She, for some really weird reason, she loves the doll. She's like, I love it. It's like, of course you do.
It's cute.
Yeah, like, you're gonna die. Nobody loves these things and lives.
No, that's why I hate everything I see.
Yeah.
Except for you. And horror films.
Whoa.
And my family.
Hey.
I suppose.
My eyes are up here.
So, freaking...
Are we just going to ignore that?
Yes.
Continue. Go on.
As she's going along, just kind of getting ready for some sexy time when he gets home.
Oh, yeah, definitely. She is, definitely.
And she throws Billy aside, like, sets him up as this prank. Like, oh, Jamie's going to get scared by you, little man. Whatever. And all of a sudden, everything goes really quiet. Like, anything that's going on in the background, there's music playing, it starts slowing down, just...
Yeah, so like anything that's like the clock that was like ticking back and forth, it's still ticking.
T's going off. Yeah. It's just...
Yeah. So time hasn't stopped, which I thought was what was happening. I was like, holy shit, she's like the Flash. But time wasn't stopping. It was just all the noise was escaping. So the only noise that she could hear was the noises that she made. So like her footsteps, and
her
like
breathing.
That. Yeah.
So it made everything very unsettling when all you can hear is...
Get away.
And so you hear the wooden puppet just kind of do his little creaks, just...
Yeah, he's very slightly moving.
Like our terrible wooden seats.
Yes.
And
my back.
And she looks over at this puppet. She pulls off the blanket that she threw on it, and she just becomes tangled up in it. Shit starts going wrong. And then she looks back into the room and gets pulled in, and she just screams.
Yeah.
And then everything goes black. So then Jamie comes back and is just ready to get some sexy time going.
Oh yeah, he has what does he have? Did he bring back food?
He brought back takeout, like Chinese, and a rose.
A single rose. How romantic. But he's just been outside in the rain all day.
So he's just wet.
He's soaked. He looks like a hot mess. You know? But still, he's like, whatever, I'm going to bone my wife. I don't give a crap.
She doesn't give a shit, and neither do I.
Probably.
So he comes back, and he sees her under the sheet, and he's just kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Place is kind of a mess. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, well, he wasn't too confused, because when he got there, everything was going off. The tea was going off. He had to turn off the stove, and he's like, where are you? And you hear her voice.
I'm in here, Jamie.
Yeah, and it's like exactly her voice. Which is odd because we just saw her like die 5 minutes ago, right? And there's a whole bunch of blood on the ground. He goes, what's going on? She's like, come over here. And that's when he goes up to her.
And he pulls this sheet off, and her tongue has been ripped out.
Yeah. She just looks
like her jaw's pulled down, just like her chin's almost touching the bottom of her neck.
Yeah.
And her tongue's just gone.
It reminded me of something when I saw it. Like maybe something from like Beetlejuice. When she like pulls on her face or something. And puts her eyeballs in there. I don't know. But ooh, excuse you. But it was something. It was something familiar. But you know, just... Oh, I got it. It's when people watch the Ring video.
Yes.
Yeah, like that. Except no
the
tongue.
Elongated jaw just...
just kind of stuck out. So he's like, oh, shit.
And he freaks out. The police show up, which introduces this cop.
I like this cop.
I love this cop.
He's a really terrible cop.
But, like, his main quirk is he takes an electric razor and, like, shaves his face all the time.
It's always his neck.
Yeah.
He's always shaving his neck with, like, a fucking, like, a wall. Like razor.
He's got a mustache, and he shaves, just like Cody was saying, right under his neck, right under his jaw.
And he does a terrible job, too, because he's always got stubble.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to do. Just constantly look like either a douche or just a fly guy.
And this is a character quirk, because it is. Every time he's on screen, he will have that razor. And he will be shaving his neck.
And he'll also always be a jackass.
Yeah. So he's just a bad cop.
But he's just, God damn it, you can't hate him.
You love him. You gotta love him. But basically, he has the husband in an interrogation room, and obviously they think that he killed her because what else was there? He was the last one to see him. He was the last one to talk to his wife, and the only thing there was like the dummy, and like they're gonna believe that shit, right? Yeah. So this guy comes in shaving his neck. And he's like, do you really think they're going to believe that a doll did this? You got to work on your alibi, buddy. And he's like, what alibi? I don't need an alibi. I didn't kill my wife.
Well, you should tell that to your lawyer. What lawyer? Like, he's just being a dense motherfucker, this Jamie.
And then he just gets up after, like, being berated. And he's like, I'm going to do your job for you. Basically, actually, no, he does say that. He says that literally.
Yeah. I'm going to do your job for you since you're not doing it. And then... Cop's just like...
he just...
What an asshole, that Ashen. What an asshole.
I wonder what razor he uses.
Probably Gillette. What a tool.
It's the closest a man can get.
Yes.
I made that joke during the movie. Anyway.
So he goes back to his old town because one of the last things his wife said before he left originally was she remembered this nursery or this poem from their old town, and thankfully it's on the back of the DVD in case you don't hear it enough in the movie.
Yeah.
And it says, "Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She has no children, only dolls. If you ever see her in your dreams, be sure you never ever scream." And then the continuation of it, which they never actually say in the movie, is, "Or she'll rip your tongue out at the seam." And I guess...
I have a pair of bongos here.
And I guess they wouldn't say that last bit, because you could probably just fill in the spaces like, oh, well, I guess the ghost rips tongues out at the seam? Whoa.
Now she means business. So, like, dude, getting your tongue ripped out is... That's enough. That's enough. You don't need to know, like, where.
Yeah.
We'll start from, like, where your molars are, and then out from there. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a fuck? He still can't talk after him.
Yeah, exactly.
So he goes back to this town of probably like only 50 people at this point.
Did they ever say what the name of the town was?
Ravens Fair.
Ravens Fair. Named after the fair they had.
About ravens, presumably.
Yeah, you're right.
I'd be put out if they didn't. So he goes back here, and at first it's about just taking care of his wife's body. He meets up with his dad, who's married this hot mama.
Yeah.
Probably just like 5 years older than his son.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Like, she looks like... Well, she doesn't look like she's his sister or anything.
No.
But, I mean, like, MILF material.
Yes.
We're talking, like, A-grade meat. Like, if... We're talking Butch's quality media. We're talking prime choice.
So when she first shows up, it's just kind of like, whoa, who's this?
And he says that too. Like, she hugs him like she knows him so well and goes, oh my gosh, we thought you'd never come home to visit your father, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, who are you?
she's like, I'm Ella.
I'm your new mother. And he's like, my real mother is dead, or some shit like that.
Yeah. So he goes upstairs, talks to his dad, who he hasn't seen in years.
And he's got daddy issues, of course.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? You're in these kind of movies, if you're a male protagonist, you've either got a drinking problem or you have family issues.
Yeah. And, of course, he's rich. His father is rich. You can't have a rich parent that's, like, good.
Yeah.
Why is that?
He has a rich dad.
There's only one movie I've ever seen where the rich parents were good, and it was Richie Rich. They loved the crap out of that kid. That movie is so silly.
Oh, Andy.
Oh, Andy. Have you seen Richie Rich?
Yes.
I love it. They're just like, where's the gold? Where's the money? It's in the bank, dumbass. What the fuck was that guy thinking? Anyway.
I don't know. So he meets up with him, and of course they just kind of have an argument about whatever the fuck. And So he goes over to this funeral home run by dear old Henry, who's a pretty nice man. But he's obviously been here too fucking long.
Oh, yeah. Since the 40s.
Yeah. Just too goddamn long. Just like a piece of string. Too goddamn long. So
specifically, a really long piece of string.
Yeah. And so they just go through the shit like, oh, well, when the police give me the body, or when I can, I'm going to get the body and we'll take care of everything.
I loved their conversation, actually.
Because it was very human.
It was pretty, yeah, it was a little too real. Because he's just like, so, have you thought of what casket you're going to bury your wife in? He's like, no, we really didn't talk about caskets, us being 20, And he's like, oh, good point. Never thought about that one. And this is, I mean, I love these scenes in the beginning. Because it's literally nothing but character development. Like, it's honestly just where you meet his dad and his weird stepmom thing, and then you meet Henry and Henry's wife, who is the funniest character by accident. She's batshit crazy.
Because she freaks out about this Mary Shaw character that you've heard about already.
Yeah, he does mention this ghost story right away. Yeah, because like when the police are like, "You think the doll really did it?" and he tells them about the old folk story.
Yeah, that his wife just reminded him of before she died.
And he doesn't say the poem. Actually, who the person who remembers the entire kind of poem, or the rhyme, is actually his new stepmom.
Yeah,
that he met.
That one, and then I think this wife of Henry's, Marion.
Marion, that's right.
I had to think about it for a moment.
Yeah.
But as soon as he even mentions her name, she freaks the fuck out. Yeah. And she continues to remain in that freak the fuck out mode for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, like she clearly knows something about this ghost, even though shit is just getting started. Like he has all this guy knows is that he's got a creepy ass Muppet puppet and
Billy.
Oh Billy. Oh Andy. And I don't know, it's just really strange how she's just such a weird character.
She's just like the blind man we mentioned in the Woman in Black 2 review.
Yeah, just absolutely crazy for absolutely no reason.
She's that character that's in almost every horror film that just has to exist for the fact of, you're all doomed.
Yeah, really.
Now, you're all doomed.
In the Woman in Black 2, that old blind guy that was crazy, the Woman in Black does not make you crazy. She makes you kill yourself.
Yeah.
And in this movie, same thing. This ghost will kill you, but it will not make you go crazy. I guess if you have to live with the ghost like torturing you your whole life, you might go crazy, but you'd be somewhat sane.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be this nuts. This lady is literally carrying around a taxidermized crow. Oh no, raven, and she's just like, oh, don't say it, don't say it.
I didn't tell anybody, goddamn.
Where's the gold?
And of course, Henry always comes in and goes, Marion, you can't be talking this shit.
Marion.
I just love his interactions with her, because it's always just like, he's always one sentence from being like, God damn it, not again.
Yeah. He handles his wife being nuts way too well. Like she's just like, cookies on the ceiling, porridge in my pants. And he just grabs it and goes, there, Marion, off to bed. I'll be up with you in a bit. Like, she's going to be like, all right.
Like, the only thing I can think of is like, man, she just must be a good lay or something. Which is really gross to think about, but goddamn. Yeah. Or he just is just like, you know what?
I put up with this for too long already.
I love this broad too much.
I'm too deep in the hole and in her pants. But what I imagine when he's like, stop annoying me and this customer about his dead wife. Go upstairs. I'll meet you there in a bit. When he said that, I was like, what is she going to do? Like, brush her teeth and, like, get in bed? She's in no condition to even, like, walk around. I think he's going to go up there and find her head in the toilet and just be like, Marianne.
Just, like, scold her, like, hit her with a belt or something.
Yeah, because that'll help her psychological issues. He just beats her.
This is way darker than anything in the film.
Actually, yeah.
And we're just implying this shit.
I think they should have just made a movie about Marion. That's a great name for a movie, too. Marion.
Coming soon.
Marion. Get back in the candle. That's so bad.
So,
yes.
After all this shit goes down.
The discussion with the taxidermist, or I should say...
and he learns about Mary Shaw some more. Mm-hmm. He goes we see the funeral of his wife, finally. And then he thinks he sees this woman off in the forest, which he runs after her. And then Marion,
the crazy lady that he
pops out
met.
again and goes, "You saw her too. Oh, geez." And Henry, again, "Marion, please."
Don't berate our customer.
So he sits down with Henry.
Oh.
Or no. Right before this, he is in his hotel room. Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
the piece of shit hotel room that you probably get a free bowl of soup with.
Yeah. He's in a motel now because he can't go back to his apartment because it's a crime scene and all that stuff like that. But he can't leave town either because he's on a watch because he's a suspect. Obviously, he's the primary suspect in this murder. So after going to his wife's funeral and dealing with all that stuff and all the characters are introduced and whatnot, he's sitting in this really, really, really shitty motel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. I mean, it's like they would, like you said, they would give you free soup for being in there.
Yeah.
Which is
thanks for staying with us here.
Yeah.
Have this. It's dinner and breakfast if you don't eat it now.
That's nasty. It's right outside. Right outside of this motel room is the blinking motel light, which is bright red and it goes on and off and on and off, which sets up some mood lighting for this next scene, actually.
And then once again, everything, like earlier with his wife, everything starts slowing down, starts getting really quiet.
And did we mention? We did not mention. He is taking this doll with him everywhere.
Which is just really bad.
Yeah, not a good idea. I would have just destroyed it or something. But he's taking this doll with him everywhere because, I don't know.
It's going to lead him to some clue.
Yeah, he kind of wants answers because he remembers that little rhyme fairy tale that he remembered when he was a kid, where it mentioned that if you get a doll, you know, it's just something about dolls. And in fact, when he brought the doll up to the mortician, Henry, he actually said, "Where did you get that?"
You're not supposed to have that.
Yeah, he looked really afraid. So obviously, he's gonna hold on to this doll to find out more answers. But right now, he just has it sitting in the corner of his motel room.
And when everything starts getting spooky, he looks over at it through a reflection, sees it as Billy, and then looks over at it in real life, and it turns into this old woman with just the spookiest looking eyes ever. Mm-hmm. And you're led to presume that's Miss Mary Shaw.
Yes, the owner of the dolls. And the one where if you scream, she'll rip out your tongue.
Yes.
And kill you.
And she's a creepy old fucking woman.
Very creepy.
I've seen a lot of creepy old women in my day, Cody, both in real life and in horror films. And she is one fucking creepy old woman. So, after this scary fest, he still doesn't scream, which bravo to him.
Yeah.
He's just one of those people that when he gets scared, he just freaks out internally.
Either he knows that that's Mary Shaw, which I doubt it, because it's coming at him like immediately. Like, he has no time to prepare for this. Mm-hmm. So, I think he is just one of those people that just doesn't scream. Like, when I watch scary movies, I never scream. When I'm on roller coasters, actually, I can't scream. Like, I literally can't scream. Like, I just want to go, woo! I want to do that, right? But I can't. I just make no noise. I just go and smile like an idiot, and I go, yay, Mm-hmm. But I'm just not a person who'd react to something like that. So, in other words, I'd be immortal against this woman.
Yeah. You'd be just like Henry. She'd be scaring your fucking ass for 50 years, and you'd still, at the end of it, just be like...
Or like Marion.
Whatever.
Who probably has actually been spooked by her.
For several years.
Nuts. But anywho, so this doll is... it's spooky.
So after all this after seeing Mary Shaw for the first time, he goes, you know what? Since I saw Mary Shaw's grave earlier, I'm going to go exploring with Billy here. And he finds all these graves near Mary Shaw's grave.
Yeah, which, by the way, this graveyard is outside of town. He's breaking the law right now. Yeah. He's not supposed to leave town, even though he did.
So he finds Billy's grave.
Mm-hmm. Which is a grave for a doll, which we find out... That's explained later.
That was requested by Mary Shaw when she died.
Yeah, she wanted to be buried with her dolls, because she had a lot of them. And she was just a weirdo.
She is a weirdo. Ventriloquists are weird people.
But you know what? This main character he's pretty smart. He's pretty smart, because he sees the doll, he, after seeing Mary Shaw, he's like, oh god, that spooky ghost is haunting me now. I know all about this shit through my fairy tales that I read when I was a kid or whatever. And he's like, wait a minute, maybe she wants to be reunited with the doll. Like, that's probably what he was thinking, right?
Probably.
I mean, that's pretty smart. So going to the graveyard and, like, trying to give it back to her is a genius idea.
Yeah. So he buries it and then comes back to his car and Billy fucking pops up again. He's just like, what the fuck? And before he can do anything reactionatory like that, Mr. Electric Razor shows up.
Yeah.
And busts his chops like, what the fuck are you doing around here messing with evidence and blah, blah, blah.
Which I thought was stupid. Because if the doll was evidence, why didn't the police take it?
Because the plot needed it. They needed to spook Marion.
That's my biggest beef with that part.
That's why he's a shitty cop, but he's a great character.
He's a shitty cop, hell of a guy. Always has a clean shaven neck.
Good with kids, I presume. I don't know.
Great in the sack.
With that mustache, maybe.
He's a pretty good looking guy. So let's continue though.
So then he goes to Henry the next day about this stuff, and Henry describes how back in the day in Ravens Fair, there was this great big theater just on the outside of town, which is just the greatest location one of the greatest locations I've ever seen in a scary movie.
It is pretty good.
Like this big old theater with like a lake surrounding it, like pier-esque steps going near it. And in this theater is Mary Shaw, the ventriloquist. This was back when she was alive in the 40s. And Henry talks about how he went there one night, and it was the night to end all nights. So it starts off with this guy going, introducing Mary Shaw, who will give life to the boy made of wood. And I was just like, yes. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
And this is my favorite scene in the whole flick.
Really?
Not to give it away already, but this is my favorite scene in the whole flick.
It is cool. I mean, it's great when... This is one of the few times where, like, they'll give out, like... Not necessarily, like, explain the origin of the ghost, but just kind of have, like, history on, like, who the person was.
The location, the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a great example of, like, who this woman was, Mary Shaw, like, what she did, and kind of how she would react to things. But yeah, so she's on stage, and it's kind of a shitty performance, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really boring and weird.
Yeah, she brings out this wooden case, opens it up, it's empty, and she just goes, "Where is my Billy?" In the spotlight's going around, looking wherever, and it lands on young Henry, probably like 8 years old, yeah. I'd say. And she's just like, "You young man," pointing her old
bony hands at him.
Yeah. "Would you look under your seat?" Whatever. Finds Billy. Show goes on after he brings him up, and they just go through this whole thing. And this fucking little redheaded bastard.
Oh, yeah.
Goes, "I can see her lips moving."
Whole crowd.
Everybody just goes, "That fucking guy."
Yeah, he's that guy.
And she even stops and she's like, "Who said that?" And he's just like, "I did. I can see your lips moving." and she just kind of plays him off as like this little chump kid, yeah. Which I would have myself.
Yeah, I would have been like, "Fuck you." Just like kept doing my shitty act.
Yeah. And so she goes, "Billy, this boy doesn't believe you're real." And Billy just throws this fucking hissy fit.
Yeah.
Like, "I'm just as real as you little snot-nosed bitch." You know, whatever.
Yeah.
And
it's freaky because when they're arguing with each other, like, you know, like, "I am real," and she's like, "Just let me talk," you know.
It's almost as if he's a real thing.
Yeah. But there's a lot of parts where he actually is talking at the same time as her.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? Because you're listening to it and you're like, oh my god, there's no way that she's doing that ventriloquism.
Yeah, so then everybody, of course, in the audience is just like, oh, that is awesome.
Oh, dude, did you see that? But you gotta hand it to Mary Shaw. She really played the crowd.
Yeah.
She's really working the crowd. She's an improv ventriloquist.
She's fucking great. Even though that was kind of a shitty night. If that was like her worst night, I'd love to see her best night.
To be fair, it was the 1940s.
Yeah.
Actually, probably 1930s. Because she died in 1941.
Yeah. That was the last night, so that might have been... That might have been in 41.
Probably.
Which,
but, But, what was I going to say? For a ventriloquist, it's crazy. So she's this old woman, but when the doll talks as a little boy, it's a totally different voice.
Oh, yeah.
It's obviously like a dude, which is what makes it even freakier. If you were to watch it, you'd be like, how is she making that voice? It's spooky even if it was real.
She's just that good.
Yeah.
But,
a real performance.
Like, what I like about it is, like, some of the lighting when she instantly gets accused of her lips moving, like she's a hack. The light is from behind her head, so you just see her silhouette. That's why I really like that scene.
It hardly showed her actual, like, full-on face during this.
Yeah, it showed it either from the side or shadowed front.
Which kind of made it really mysterious,
So, after that night, that little red-headed kid went missing. And instantly everybody in the town went, I think Mary Shaw had something to do with it. So, a couple of people went out and committed some vigilante justice on her old ass and
pretty much
killed her.
Yeah, and they actually murdered her in the same way that she begins to murder these people that wronged her. They cut out her tongue and
which is just irony.
Which is really weird. I don't know why as a mob they decided to cut her tongue out. Like, how horrible.
I think someone shouted it from the back, and everybody just went, yeah, that's really fucking weird, isn't it? That'd be like a killer pianist getting their hands chopped off and then let to bleed out to death.
Why does the penis have hands?
Pianist, like piano player.
Oh, pianist. Like, okay.
Dang it.
Why does he... But just so we don't bounce around, the little boy that was murdered by Mary Shaw, presumably, at the movie theater after calling her out, was the...
great grand uncle.
Yeah, no, I think it was just
great uncle
of the main character,
Jamie,
whose wife died. That guy. So he's related to this boy, and I believe the mob that killed her was his relatives as well. Right?
Yeah, and also some of the other family members, like Henry's family members.
Yes,
that's why he gets targeted in the film.
So pretty much anyone with the last name Ashen that was related to that boy, who was named Michael Ashen.
Yes.
And some other various people that were kind of there to help out, I suppose.
So after this is revealed, he goes through his business of... He goes over to the theater, all decrepit and shit, which looks great when it's ruined as well, if not better. Mm-hmm. Which is sad to say, but it looks better as a dump.
And this is the first time he goes to the manor.
Yeah. And while he's going through that, I think if I remember correctly, at the same time, Henry gets attacked by Mary Shaw at his house.
Yes.
And that is really sad, because he made it all this time.
Yeah, Henry was fine. Henry gave all the advice. He told him pretty much all the lore on, what was exactly happening. Who Mary Shaw was. I keep wanting to say Mary Shelley. But this isn't Frankenstein. So, but it was a monster of a movie. So, I don't know, whatever. So, anywho, he dies in a crawl space, which, of course, his wife always goes down into.
Whenever she's hiding from Shaw. And one thing I really liked about Henry in this movie is when he's terrified in this movie, he fucking sells it.
Yeah, he genuinely looks scared. But I think that's just because old people are just naturally afraid. Because things are different now. He probably was just thinking about cell phones. Had a panic attack.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
But yeah, he makes just the most terrified face.
Yeah.
And that's just, that makes it unsettling when I see old people frightened.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Do you have a soft spot for that?
Yeah. So
it's like seeing grandma cry.
Thankfully, I haven't seen that too much, but so he dies, and Jamie ends up back to his dad's house. Mm-hmm. The cop runs into him there, And so he tries to bring him back to the cop station.
Yeah, why? He's going to arrest him. I can't remember why, though. Because he had more reason than, like, him being, like, the primary suspect. Mm-hmm. I think it was because he left town and tried to bury evidence.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it was because he tried to bury Billy.
I remember why he tried to arrest him, though. Because he went to the graveyard, and all of the dummies were exhumed from the graves.
Yeah, all 101 of them.
Yeah, so he goes up to him and goes, Jamie, you're under arrest. Why did you dig up all of those dolls and dummies?
And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
no, I didn't.
He's like, I didn't do that shit. And during this, he gets a phone call from Henry, but Henry's dead.
Already.
So...
And he's just like, meet me at the theater, Jamie. I can prove that you're innocent. And he's like, all right, you get that electric razor cop? Follow me to the theater. And cop's just like, I'm not having that. So then Jamie just pushes him down and legs it.
Yeah, which is assaulting an officer. Not a good idea. But, he's really got to solve this crime. And he's like, don't make me chase you, Jamie. I don't have a full tank of gas. Because it's like, wow, he's so real. He's just like, I can't afford rent or whatever.
I don't have any more juice in my battery.
Yeah, my Norelco's going out. I should have bought a Bic. But you know what though? This is a great time to bring up how Henry's voice was on the phone, even though Henry was killed by Mary Shaw.
Oh yes, when Henry gets killed. When
anyone gets killed by this ghost.
When their tongues get ripped out of their mouths.
Yes.
Mary Shaw adds it to her tongue, which at this point is very long and reptilian-like.
Yes, it's really bizarre. You just wouldn't expect it. So she has like a stack of tongues, like tip
3 feet long or so.
Yeah, it's like a 3 foot long collection of different tongues, like obviously like stuck onto each other. And it allows her to mimic someone's voice.
As Henry's tongue stitches onto it, her voice goes from hers to his, going, "Your voice is mine now."
Yeah.
Which was spooky.
Yeah, very spooky. Very spooky indeed.
And this was when Cody went, this got really cool.
Yeah, like, I didn't really say, like, scary, but it was definitely cool. I was like, that's just such a cool way of, like, doing that. Because they could have had, like, some ethereal, like, kind of like symbolic tongue and she would like absorb it or whatever.
But no, it's just a stack of tongues.
Yeah, it's a stack of tongues and just she like swap them out like Jenga pieces, dominoes.
This is the one I need. Put it at the tip.
Yeah, exactly, right?
This one is very sensitive to sweet. Maybe I want to use that for when I eat ice cream.
And I think they picked tongues because nice. Because if they use like windpipes, like throats, it would have been hard to.
That'd be really fucking weird.
Yeah, it just has like 50 throats.
Her neck is like 5 feet thick.
It's a menorah. It's just a menorah that all connects to the top of the head. It's just a mess of tubes. So anyway, yeah. So he pushes a cop.
Jamie and the cop run over to the theater.
Which sounds like another movie. Yeah. Jamie and the cop. We'll watch that one later.
Hell yeah. Right after Marion.
Yeah.
So
double feature.
They get to the theater and Jamie leads him through this whole thing. They run into Mary Shaw a couple times and they're just both like, don't scream! For fuck's sakes, don't do that.
We gotta talk about this. This is a final battle.
Yeah.
So, obviously,
They get to this main room.
Well, hold on. I think we got to talk about how they get into the place.
Oh, geez.
So, the cop is like, I've had it with this vigilante motherfucker. And he pulls out a shotgun. So, he's literally chasing him into the theater with a shotgun. And once they get to the theater, he's like, with the gun, he's like, you fucking stop moving, put your hands up. And then that's when they hear Henry's voice.
Yeah.
And he's just like, who was that? And he's like, I told you Henry was here, And the cop's like, fine, let's find out. So Henry's voice is leading them deep into this theater.
And which is not good.
Yeah. And then, but when they get to the main room,
there is this one puppet hanging out in the middle of the room. And they're like, well, that looks a little big to be an actual puppet. And they come up to it, and it's this decayed body of Michael Ashen, little redhead kid.
The very first boy who died by making fun of her in the theater.
Yeah. Don't make fun of performers is what this movie's fucking saying. So then after they see that, they open up this curtain and it shows all of the 100 100 other puppets of Mary Shaw's, with Billy missing, so it is 100, not 101. And
101 doll.
Dalmatians.
Doll abominations. 101 doll abominations.
So, after they see all these things, and they discover Ashen's body, all these dolls start turning their heads as the whole room gets silent again. So all you hear is... which is really great.
Creaking from like the wood eyeballs, and their necks as well are turning to face this one corner of the room.
Which, in the corner of the room is this clown doll. Very spooky looking.
Probably the oddest looking mannequin, or not mannequin, but doll of Mary Shaw's. Just because everything is following like a Victorian kind of theme, and then this one's just a straight up clown.
Yeah.
You know?
And you hear Mary Shaw speak through it, and so Jamie's just like, "Why did you kill my wife? Why?" And she goes, "There was an Ashen inside of him." Which means she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Which was just kind of shitty for him to find out.
Yeah, really. Really.
And so, she finally reveals herself, like pulls back the doll, stands it up, and the fucking cop just blasts her with the shotgun.
Yeah.
Which was great.
He wrecks this doll with just pieces. Million pieces. Which is like, duh. Why wouldn't you do that before?
Yeah. After this doll gets broken up, she starts going into the other dolls, and he keeps just blasting them away.
Yeah, and that's when Jamie's like, oh my god, she's living through the dolls. Destroy all the dolls, right?
Yeah. So then he throws his lantern at it, and just at the wall of dolls, and just all of them burn up, and you can hear... Ah!
Huge fire, yeah.
And...
well, they're trying to escape it.
They try to escape this...
little catwalk. They're trying to escape through the
catwalk.
catwalk on top of the theater.
And it breaks because it's 60 fucking years old.
Yeah, obviously.
And cop falls, screams. So then Mary Shaw, of course, comes and grabs him.
Yep. Which is like,
Kills
no,
him.
funny cop. And now no one will believe Jamie.
Yeah.
You know?
And after he dies, you just see his electric razor just like silently humming on the floor. Just
Which I thought like the razor was going to be some kind of weird foreshadowing. But it turns out the only shadowing it took care of was his 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. We high-fived again.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we need to address that. But anywho, so
Jamie escapes
yes,
by the skin of his teeth. Like falls through the floor into the water, swims underneath, and then leaves.
Yeah.
And he makes it back to Henry's house, where Marion's just crooning over his, like, I don't know if crooning's the right word, just mourning over his dead body. And
Henry's dead body.
Yeah, Henry's dead body. And Jamie's just like, what's going on here? Where's Billy? And
where's Billy?
And Marion goes, she's like, Ashen came and took him, which implies his dad. And he goes, that's impossible. My dad's been in a wheelchair and he doesn't leave the house. And she goes, no, it was him. He came and took Billy. So then Jamie's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Yep. So he goes back to his dad's house, and he goes upstairs. Everything goes silent again, which is just a really cool thing, I might add, when this shit happens, if I haven't said it already. And Mary Shaw comes out, tries to freak him out again.
Just one more time, you know. And
so he sees Billy, picks up Billy, throws him in the fire, and then Mary just freaks out and disappears. And then there's a thunderstorm going outside, and the lightning reveals that his dad's sitting in the corner.
Yeah, so he just took care of this, what he thought was the final doll, threw it into the fireplace in one of the rooms in his dad's mansion, and he's like, shit, I don't feel good still.
Yeah.
Something's not right. It's still quiet. It's still weird. And my dad is just sitting there watching me.
And so he goes over to his dad in the wheelchair, and he's just like, Dad? And he like kind of waves his hand in front of his dad's face, and it's just very vacant. And his dad just slumps forward, and he like looks behind him, And this is totally crazy. Like, he looks at him, and in the back of him is a giant hollowed out hole, like a ventriloquist dummy, and his spine is like those levers inside of a ventriloquist dummy that you make to talk.
Yeah. Really kind of gruesome.
Which was just...
blew your mind. So it's like,
First time I saw it, I went, what the fuck?
Yeah, his dad was a dummy.
The whole time.
But, I mean, it was made out of his dead body.
Yeah.
Because the spine was...
That was a spine. Like, I saw it and I went, that's a spine.
Yeah.
That is also blood.
That is not fine. That is a spine.
And so it starts showing through a series of flashbacks that, through angles we didn't see before, obviously, to get away with this sneaky thing, is that Ella... His stepmom had been controlling him the whole time. So in all the previous shots where it showed them two together, she was always by his side with one hand on his shoulder and the other one behind his back, which you thought was maybe like a soothing back rub, like,
or
hey,
something, right?
Later tonight we're gonna get some. But whatever. He is just... You find out Ella was like that perfect doll. Through all these shots, and some of them were from the opening credit shot.
Yeah.
Which is why that opening credit shot might have been that too long of a shot.
Because it wanted to, like, give you a lot of foreshadowing right away that during this, Mary Shaw is actually trying to just create the perfect doll. Which she does.
And it's Ella. And it's just all a sick fucking ploy to really get Jamie fucking angry. Because he's like the last Ashen to kill.
And wouldn't you know it, this is the thing that breaks him.
Yep.
This is so crazy that he just feels like screaming at the top of his lungs.
And she appears again. Mary Shaw appears again right after he sees that. And so he just goes, no! And then, and then it shows this little montage of like these photos of him done up to look like a doll. His wife, his dad, Henry, the cop.
Yeah.
Everybody. And then it repeats the fucking poem again for like the 7th or 8th goddamn time in the whole movie. Yeah. Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She has no children, only dolls. And if you ever see her in your dreams, be sure to never ever scream. Yeah. And then it ends.
Wow, you memorized that. Almost. That was spot on. But
yeah. Which is really weird.
That is
speaking about that poem, nobody actually sees them in their dreams. It's always when they're awake.
Exactly. But I think that's just because it's a limerick. Kids would make things rhyme because they didn't know the real story, right? Mm-hmm. The only people that actually suffered from this curse was the Ashen family. And they all died.
Yeah.
Which, this is crazy. Usually it's like he wins. These characters win. They defeat the ghost, so they get away from it. I've never actually seen it where it carries all the way through and they all die.
Yeah.
They all die.
Or at least they get through, but the ghost is still around.
Yeah.
Just like the Woman in Black, too.
Yeah, which they shouldn't have done. They really shouldn't have done. But to be
fair,
they
already got away with that in the first one, goddammit.
And to be fair, the first one is the only excuse I would say they have for killing the ghost. In the second one, they kill it by having good thoughts, which is
that was retarded.
But we already talked about
that. But we gave that one a 7 out of 10 regardless.
Yeah, because it had great elements. Yeah. And it had a great atmosphere. So what if the characters are boring and the story was stupid? It's all about what you're looking at in the end. Right?
Yeah. It's all about the ride.
Could have been better though.
So yeah, that was Dead Silence.
Yeah, pretty much it ends like that. But yeah, let's talk about what, in your opinion, what was the biggest flaw in this movie? What was the worst moment?
The biggest flaw,
or just worst moment, worst theme. It could be like even the cop, like always shaving his neck. Well, that was like the worst thing for you. What do you think it was?
I did dig that. I think the worst part was just the little bit that I did just point out, is that in that limerick, is that they say, if you see her in your dreams, don't scream. But they never show anybody actually sleeping and then they dream about it.
Yeah. It's
always they're just awake and then everything goes really silent and then kill.
Well, but saying if you see her in her dreams, don't scream, it has a better ring than like if you have hallucinations.
Yeah. So
don't lose emancipation.
That's a minor flaw, in my opinion.
But you would say that's your least favorite part.
Yeah. which I didn't even think about until just now.
Yeah. I think my least favorite part was how it was what I mentioned where the cop didn't take the doll.
Yeah.
That is preposterous. If it was really
sloppy
that big,
cop work.
Really terrible cop work. And is he the only freaking cop working on this case?
They showed that one female cop
for like a glimpse before he even went in the interrogation.
Just long enough for him to be a snappy.
This guy Jamie probably thinks that there's only one cop working at the fucking station, and he's keeping his eye on him like a hawk.
Yeah,
he's not even supposed to do that. He's like a parole officer. Think about
something like that.
It's really weird. I find this so weird. But what was your favorite moment, or favorite theme, favorite something about this movie? What did you like the most about this?
Two favorite things. The thing I mentioned earlier, that flashback scene with Mary Shaw at the puppet house or the theater. That was just a freaking awesome scene. And that whole scene, like if someone were to have only seen James Wan's most recent flicks, like The Conjuring and Insidious, and be like, where did this mastering of cinematography come from?
Yeah.
I would have said, just look at Dead Silence with this scene.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly like the part to where he went from being the Saw guy to this guy who's probably making just these great ghost flicks now.
It's kind of weaving worlds with this, with that kind of scenes, those kinds of scenes. What else?
And then the other thing is, because I've never seen it in any other flick, is all those death scenes when Mary Shaw strikes, when it goes really silent. Yeah. So then all you hear is the light breathing, and then the little creaks of wood, like.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that was good.
Those are my two favorite things.
I think my favorite moment was actually just a little tiny moment, but it kind of wrapped it all up for me. When, well, at least in kind of what I liked about this movie, like when it showed the dead father as a puppet, and it showed like I had all those flashback scenes where it showed the stepmother controlling him, and him not actually being like alive and moving, and it's just her doing. And then it shows him eating like oatmeal or something, and it shows how it like pours out of his mouth,
metal tray.
Yeah, it goes through his spine, which is now a little rod used to control him, and it just like dumps out into a bowl. For some really weird reason, I really liked that. I was like, oh, that's really gruesome and kind of nasty, but I was like, that's neat. That's neat. And that's also
freaky.
I also like how they portrayed the ghost as having like all those tongues. Yeah. That was cool, because they didn't need to do anything like that. But I thought that if they were going to actually represent it somehow, that's the way to do it. If you're going to have like a ghost, if you're going to have like a monster in the movie and actually show the monster, there you go. Because most of what scares me in these movies is what I don't see, what's mysterious. But when they showed that, I was like, this is still freaky. Even though I saw that, I said it was still freaky. Yeah. But I don't know. But okay, so we talked about it a little bit. We kind of gave it the good and the bad and the bloody.
Whoa.
Hey.
It's coming back.
Now it's time for the rating. We need to have some kind of cutaway for this.
We do, eventually.
What do you rate this movie out of spooks?
0 to 10 spooks.
I give it
7 spooks.
7 spooks?
Yes.
This is going to disappoint our audience. We can't all rate it 7 out of 10 spooks.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. You can. That's fine. But my rating for this movie is 6 spooks out of 10.
All right.
And my reasoning for that is I'd like to say that 5 for me is average. Just saying, I don't go by like the IGN scores. Like, it was okay. 10 out of 10. you know? Right? But I gave it a 6 because it was good. But it's not my cup of tea. I'm not really into the doll thing. That's why I didn't watch the sequel to The Conjuring, I think. Was Annabelle. Yeah,
that was just a spin-off.
Yeah, that's why I didn't look into that at all, because it just, I don't know, something about dolls is just like, it's overplayed for me. It's like, yeah, it's creepy, but I've seen Chucky. I've got this. It's fine. I don't need to know anymore.
What's really great about Annabelle 2 is that the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this movie's okay. Like, it's better than a spin-off should be. Yeah. And then after a while, I was just like, man, that movie's garbage.
Yeah, I haven't seen scary movies, at least this much, in such a long time. after watching this, I kind of remembered what other scary movies were like that I've seen before, and it really made me appreciate Woman in Black 2. You know, it is actually pretty well done. I think movies need to work on their atmosphere more, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because you know, you can have torture porn in it all you want, but in the end, it's just going to be another warehouse and another guy with a knife. You know? They need to have more, like, locations, which the theater in this movie was great.
Yeah.
Like we've said.
I'll tell you this. A lot of people say Dead Silence is James Wan's weakest film.
I would agree.
But
I would agree.
I would have to say Insidious Chapter 2 is his weakest film.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
And even then, I like that.
He did do it.
He directed that. It came out in the same year as The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Which is really sad because
that's a great
you can obviously tell which one he had more of a heart in.
Yeah.
Like, he really wanted to make that one, but Insidious Chapter 2 was the obligation.
We could talk about Insidious. We could have a back-to-back.
Hell yeah.
We'll do that. That's
Since
the problem.
it's only 2 of them.
Yeah.
A third one's coming out this year, though.
Oh, God.
I'm so not excited for that.
Let me guess. Are the characters in the third one going to be, like, influencing stuff from the first and the second movie?
Oh, God,
that we didn't know
please.
about? Like maybe, like, the coffee will go off. They'll be like, oh, shit, that was from the first movie.
Fuck.
He's the one that set the coffee timer off. He put the beans in. Oh, my God.
He made a decaf. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's just like one little moment. I told you not to make decaf, honey. I didn't. 2 movies later, Ghost is making decaf.
It's poisoning that first one. But,
oh, God.
But I do... Even though I say Insidious Chapter 2 is the weakest one, it made me go back and rethink my opinion on Insidious 1.
I would say, yeah, exactly.
Because at first, when I first saw Insidious 1, I was like, wow, strong opening, strong middle, and then that third act really took a dip.
You can hate me all you want, but I'm going to say Saw 2 was the weakest. Just because I'm not a fan of Saw.
That's my opinion, yeah.
Saw 1 was more story, which is cool. I liked Saw 1. But Saw 2 was just like, the sequel made for, you know, sequel no one asked for.
Yeah.
But actually a lot of people ask for it. They like to see people get hurt, which I think is fucked up.
As far as James Wan's films would go, from best to worst, I would go Conjuring, Insidious, this movie, third best. Okay. And then Saw 2, Insidious 2.
That sounds pretty... Yeah, that sounds all right.
As far as directing goes,
that sounds all right.
If I were to include everything he's ever touched... Saw 3 would probably be at the bottom.
Yeah, there wasn't a moment in this movie that I thought was like done poorly. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I would have given it a 7 out of 10 if it wasn't I would have probably gone as far as 8 if I actually liked these kinds of like the doll related movies, but you know, 1 or 2 cool shots doesn't make up for the grand scheme of things, which is it's a killer doll movie.
I appreciate this film simply for being like, since I wasn't a big Saw guy, it like not to be that kind of dick, but just like this is the film that showed he was growing up.
That's true.
In a weird way, like he was that dude that made all the messy fucking torture shit, and then all of a sudden he goes and makes this, even though he claims it was like them twisting his arm the whole time, like, you got to make this fucking film, man, and he's just like, Lee, help. Please. Lee is the writer.
Lee, help.
Like, they're a director-writer team.
Oh, that's
In
cool.
fact, Lee, the writer of... He wrote the 2 first Saws. He wrote this movie. He wrote Insidious. He didn't write The Conjuring, though. And he also wrote Insidious Chapter 2. He's going to direct Insidious 3. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, maybe it'll be better because maybe there won't be any lost in translation moments between the script and the scene.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
But then again, have you ever seen a Stephen King thing directed by Stephen King?
Terrible.
They're terrible. They're very bad. But anyway, Derek, it's 4 a.m. It's 4. Actually, it's 4:20. It's 4. Oh, it's 4. Okay. Final thoughts?
I enjoy it enough to have owned it.
Logical.
And I bought it myself. It's not like it was a gift, you know. Like I've got movies in my library that I've previously said I didn't like, but people seem to get me it because they don't understand when I say I don't like a film, apparently.
Well, 69 out of 10.
6.9 out of 10.
Would watch again if you bring the girls. So
I came for the beer and the bitches.
Well, thanks for joining us on The Good, The Bad, and The Bloody. We'll be here next week.
Whether you like it or not.
Oh, God. Bye, everybody.